So, burnout is a huge issue for women in particular. Women are burning out in droves, especially women who have caring responsibilities, those involved in activism, and especially those in the frontline caring services. But the way that women are dealing with it, the kind of intuitive response, is actually not helping. So let me tell you what I mean. You're probably doing at least three of these things to avoid burnout. So, in some way or another, you are going to be trying to deal with the symptoms of things like chronic stress, anxiety, depression. You will be, trying to find ways to deal with that can range from anything from overindulging in food or shopping online or over exercising, being kind of overly focused on your calorie intake. It can look like finding ways to just try to exert control in different areas of your life. So when you feel that you are trying to um, meet chaos and confusion and threats and risk, if you're trying to meet those things, when actually you have limited control over them, it will show up in other areas of your life, and you will start trying to control all sorts of things that are beyond your control. You'll find it really difficult to actually work out where you have control and where you don't have control in your life. Because, the reasons for this are because if you are in any form, if you're trying to have an impact, you will by definition be spending a lot of time in the space between where you have control and you have no control. And that space is called influence. It's very difficult to know how much impact you're having when you are trying to influence other people. So that may be you're trying to influence people in terms of really kind of trying to talk about social injustice. You are outraged by things that you see in your own community. You may be frustrated by the sorts of stories that are coming out on the world stage. And you are becoming sort of exhausted from it. So you see it at a macro and a micro level, and you care, you have empathy, you want to have an impact, but you're never really going to know how much impact you have. And so, because you don't really have control, like I say, you try and maintain control in other areas of your life. You might get super infuriated with your children when they take forever to get ready in the morning, or you might find that when you're stuck at traffic lights, you just are sort of bubbling with rage. But it can also show up in terms of the way that your boundaries are crossed as well, and you can feel really kind of insulted and outraged when people do that. These are all signs that you are trying to keep burnout at bay. And they are also signs that your body is trying to tell you something and you're squashing it down. And female rage is having a moment right now because it's really hard for women to keep holding it down. And what happens when you keep holding it down, trying to hold down any emotion, is that eventually it will come up to the surface. And you know, that's okay. It's that idea that, oh, we can't get angry, we can't lose our temper. Female rage is completely different to male rage. Male rage is more about not being able to have power and control over people. Female rage usually shows up in terms of feeling so frustrated and limited and voiceless that you have no control and it just bubbles up. It's not something which tends to be dangerous in the way that it can be with male rage. It's more a sense of pure frustration, pushing against limitation, pushing against feeling undervalued and overlooked. These signs of you trying to maintain control in different areas and having to push down rage, these are real warning signs. Okay, I really would like you to pay attention to them. It's not healthy to repress your rage. It's also not healthy when you're feeling angry to just go and do some exercise or work out, because it feels good in the moment, but that's not really that different to being annoyed at the end of the day and having a glass of wine. I know that sounds odd, but the point is that if you're using either of these things as an emotional crutch for dealing with a deeper rooted problem, you're not addressing the problem, and then eventually it will cause you bigger problems because you will burn out, or you will just continue along on the same path, but having to push down feelings of frustration, resentment, and anger. And so, whether you burn out or not, you've got to ask yourself the question, do I want to carry on like this? And I think if you are interested in, if you really are interested in self care, then you've got to be able to learn self compassion, because self care without self compassion is kind of just bullying your body into fitting into the expectations that you have for it. And it's not actually caring for yourself at all. You know, it plays into this idea of a toxic wellness culture, which really manipulates these ideas of women wanting to do better, wanting to be better, wanting to show up for our community. Well, you've got to do that by, you know, being healthy and being fit and eating right and meditating. You've got to do that by making sure that you stay alive. I mean, it's literally that simple. You have to make sure that you stay alive and that you are connected to what matters to you. Okay, you've got to know what your values are and be comfortable in the direction that you're going in. That's what you need to think about. If you are serious about, people say, you know, beating burnout. If you're serious about beating burnout, then take your focus away from the surface level things. Doing those things, I'm talking about in terms of exercising and focusing on meditation and what you eat, is really important, and rest. It's important. It's a foundation. It is not an antidote. That's the difference. That's what I want you to hear. Building a wellness practice is a foundation that supports you in your resilience journey. It's not like reaching for a solution when you're really angry and you need to kind of let it out. What's more helpful when you're angry is to be able to articulate it in that moment in a way that protects your boundaries, not to go away and take it out on, a punch bag and a kickboxing lesson. I'm just saying. So this is a really important one. There are plenty more resources on my website. If you're interested in looking at this at a deeper level, then please dig into them. I would suggest the connecting with your inner wisdom meditation as a starting point. And if there are any other types of tool that you're interested in or things that you think would help on your journey, let me know. I'll also refer you to an exercise on really checking what's inside and outside of your control, and I'll follow up on that in a different video. Anyway, if you are interested, then hit like, share, and follow for more content.